Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's the motivator here. This is where we translate our words into action and where success is ours for the taking. How you feeling, people? How you feeling? I'm feeling fantastic. Oh my gosh. It's been a wonderful, enthralling, inspiring few days. I have been so blessed. I have met so many wonderful people. Many wonderful people. The whole point of doing these podcasts is to provide good quality information that inspires you, information that allows you to make good judgment, information that really sets the tone for the day, yeah, set the tone for the week, set the tone for the month and the year, and forward you go together. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But be aware, be aware. The world is our oyster. Mhm. The world is our oyster. We can determine the outcome. We simply got to make that decision to take responsibility, to take control. Once that decision is taken, we are unstoppable. In unity is strength. Yes, in unity is strength. That's what I say to you all. In unity is strength. So you can overcome the petty religious differences. You can overcome the petty ethnic differences. You can overcome, of course, the social class differences, because they're all superficial, I'm assuring you. Because the future is what you become. Determine your future. You want to collaborate, work with others, because there is common aim and common purpose. Oh yeah. Well done, everyone. Well done. And thank you for those wonderful messages I have received. I've received a good few hundred messages through my email account. And I've got to tell you, there's some truly inspired people out there. And thank you for spreading the word. And I say to you all, if in doubt, ask questions. And I'm pleased that the overwhelming majority of my listeners, my viewers, asked questions. And in doing so, you're better informed. And I wonder, as you ask questions about the conditions of the day, the issues of the day, okay, are you receiving answers that you like, that you prefer? Mhm. Or are those answers leading to other questions which need to be asked? I wish to encourage you to do just that. Mhm. I wish to encourage you to do just that. Okay. It's only, you see, once you ask questions, okay, and you keep asking questions, you gain greater insight. Mhm. 'Cause much of the disempowerment that the majority of people feel is because they haven't asked questions. Yeah. I get it. It can be intimidating. It can be, quite, whew, I get it. Particularly when the respondent isn't wanting to cooperate, want to keep the information to themselves, which is often is the case. You must be persistent and find like-minded persons to join with them, hold hand, work together. Again, unity is strength. Okay. But if you've got other questions you wish to ask, because each of my podcasts has stimulated 1,000 questions from each one of you. There are a few thousands of you who are watching our podcast. Yes, ask questions. And if you're not receiving the right answers, answers that make sense, put those questions to us. We don't mind. We'll go out and obtain responses for you. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. There we are. Put up, it's the email address for the Motivated Show. Ask any questions. Yep. Any question? The Motivator Show 501 at gmail.com. There you are. The Motivator Show 501 at gmail.com. Ask questions. I'm assuring you that is the way ahead. Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. But I thank you for those letters of encouragement. I even thank those who made some, I believe, intended to be constructive criticism. What I could do better, okay, or subject I should have tackled by now. I hear you. I hear you. We will up the frequency of the Motivator Show very soon. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. We are innovating. Don't you worry. We'll get there for you. I know you are thirsty for us. I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. But there are other responsibilities. But I get it. We'll do more for you. And thank you. We welcome all comments. All comments are welcome. And if you are subscribed here, of course, on YouTube, you can send messages to the studio at any time. The comment section's right there. I'll see your comments. I might even respond during the show. But be aware, I will respond. Because today's show is particularly special. 50% or more of the world population are women. Mhm. Yeah. Civilization would not be the same, would not be civilization without women. It's not possible, huh? Okay. Today's show will give light to women's excellence, particularly African women, black women's excellence, particularly on this occasion. But to others, don't you worry. Don't you worry, your time is coming. But for today's show, we'll demonstrate and highlight the excellence of African women, black women, if you like. And they're all over the world. And their achievement is magnificent, most certainly here in Britain. It is magnificent. Later on, I'll have a truly magnificent woman who will truly impress you all. Hmm. Truly impress you all. But between now and then, and the interview will begin at oh, sorry about that. And the interview will begin in 30 minutes' time. Between now and then, as you know, there are usual issues I want to raise. First of all, I want to give appreciation to a number of my past contributors. I know you will all enjoy with me when I say to you that we've had a series of truly inspired human beings. I want to give appreciation, of course. First of all, the hurricane, the super hurricane Melissa, that hit the Caribbean, particularly hit, of course, Jamaica and Haiti. I want to give my big thumbs up to my guest, to my guest, who looked at the lessons that can be learned from Grenada, what happened to Grenada, and what is now happening in Jamaica, because both countries have suffered catastrophes. But there are clear lessons to be drawn from those experiences, That's it, because they're all part of the same family, huh? We learn from each other. That's how we progress. We, in that episode, we were able to look at, of course, the life and times of Moorish Bishop, okay, and his desire for revolutionary change in, of course, Grenada. I want to thank my guest for his insights, Kwabena, for his insight. It was truly inspirational. We'll get him back in the studio again. He was truly inspirational. Okay. And those lessons have been taken on board. I've had many discussions following that interview. I'm really pleased that Kwabena was able to lay out those lessons in concise, indeed, concise manners that enables all of you, regardless, to incorporate those lessons as part of your lifetime experiences. Thank you, Kwabena. Thank you. Absolutely fantastic. We're getting back here in the studio. And those parallel lessons, I'm assuring you, there are many Jamaicans need to take on board. Watch the episode. Watch the episode. That's, of course, the episode entitled From Invasion to Superstorm Lessons for Grenada and Jamaica. Cannot ignore. Thank you, Coroner. Thank you. Outstanding episode. Well done. Well done. I also now, of course, want to give light to the episode prior to that one. And what is a outstanding event to take place in Nigeria. This event will see a Jamaican-born man to be crowned a king within a Nigerian kingdom. Mhm. I want to give praise to the people of Nigeria's Amadi. I want to give praise, of course, to the crown prince of the Amadi kingdom. Recognize him. I want to and applaud him. That is true reparations, because reparations begins with self, where we reconnect. Yeah, we repair the damage of past centuries. Yeah, this is reparations in action. I commend the people of the Amadi kingdom. Well done to you. Well done to you. And of course, to the Crown Prince. Now, the Crown Prince, if he was here now, he of course will say he would welcome any support from the people to help him, first of all, bury the recently demised king, to enable him to complete the coronation. And of course, he will, of course, be marrying a wife as well. Mhm. He's asked for support. He's asked for support. And I would encourage you all, if you can give support, then we would positively encourage you to do so. It is, in many ways, an example of that repair mechanism, which is well underway throughout the Caribbean and the Americas, bringing the peoples together. In this particular year, there's been a record number of Africans in the diaspora returning to the continent of Africa. Praise be. Long may that continue. Absolutely. The repair is well underway. Okay. And of course, the coronation of Jamaican born man to the Amadi throne will be further affirmation that the repair is well underway, you know? Was sir, was sir. Um, in the final edited version of this podcast, details of the Amadi Kingdom and how you can contribute will be visible. Okay. Thank you, thank you. And my last reference I want to give, last contributor I want to give note to, of course. Many of you will recognise it, of course. I would recognise the PNP UK. Now, to be clear, when we say PNP UK, in Jamaica, we've got the PNP or People's National Party. Okay, this is true. Yeah, here PNP UK, it's a not-for-profit uh, uh, social enterprise. Okay, and its purpose, of course, is to promote Jamaican interests here in Britain. Only these past few days, it held a online conference which involved the Honourable Mark Golding. He was able to respond to questions from the audience. Okay? Mark Golding and at least one or two of his cabinet members. The importance of that particular uh, uh, dialogue was that, unlike the information that you receive from the government of Jamaica, okay, or indeed the High Commission here in Britain, what you receive from Mark Golding and his team are the elected representatives relaying what is actually happening on the ground, unfiltered, raw, and direct. And of course, it made for uncomfortable listening. There's great, great, I'm going to emphasize one more, great distress being experienced by Jamaicans right now particularly in those constituencies, those parishes which were in the front line. And I note, of course, Westmoreland being a direct hit, which is the eye of the storm. We must continue to remember that this storm was not caused by Jamaicans. Jamaicans are simply suffering the consequences of more than countries, United States of America, Germany, Belgium, Spain, Italy, being the principal culprits, okay, going back over 100 years, okay, pumping CO2, in other words, atmospheric warming gases into the atmosphere and causing our weather systems to change because our average temperature has risen, mhm, and caused the Atlantic Ocean to warm up to such an extent that hurricanes of 185 miles an hour are now battering islands in the Caribbean. Yeah, was not caused by Jamaicans. So the damage caused, which runs into many billions, require the whole of humanity, to rally to a just cause, to repair civilization's cause in the Caribbean. And they welcome your support. I assure you, they welcome your support. And if you can give, if you have a few pennies, only give what you can give. It's not a problem, right? We encourage you to do so. Okay. And let me just put it on the screen. There you go. If you can give for the Hurricane Melissa Disaster Relief Fund, send your donation to the People's National Party UK. Yep. As I say again, it's not a party per se. It's a not-for-profit company. It's a social enterprise devoted to promoting Jamaican interests here in Britain and Europe. The NatWest Bank sort code, and let's get it right, 600802. Account number 2986123. And when making transfers, please include in the reference DRF Melissa. Okay? All donations are appreciated, and I thank you all in advance. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you. I know there are many Jamaicans and friends of Jamaica who'd like to be far much closer association with the PNP UK. They are the principal Jamaican organisation here in Britain and Europe. I'll put their contact details for the secretary. Reach out to the secretary. There you go. It's pnpuk.secretary@gmail.com. There you are. Got their contact at pnpuk.secretary@gmail.com. And the recent meeting that was held earlier this week, which was very well attended, I must say, was truly an eye opener. Truly an eye opener. And details of that meeting we will publish here on the Motivators Show in a few days' time. And you will find watching that particular episode truly enthralling. You receive the information raw and direct, unfiltered by government diktat. It is given you as it's actually happening on the ground. We want to express our full appreciation to the people of Jamaica who've made it possible. Thank you again. Thank you again. Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful. All righty, all righty. I now need to move on to the next section. And this section, of course, is about you. You, yeah, you. Yes, you. Yes, you. Why you? We care. We care. Okay. Here in the Motivated Show, we care. We could not and will not do episodes of the Motivator Show, these live shows in which we do not address the issue of public health, your health, our health. Okay. Particularly in the African heritage communities here in Britain, the Caribbean, and the US. There are prevailing illnesses which are preventable but are prevailing and are expanding in the communities, which are preventable. In other words, we haven't taken action to prevent their growth. The first illness that we can prevent their growth is, of course, obesity, fatness. Yeah? We have a situation right now in which the women weight are heavier than the men. Yeah? That's completely out of balance. We're mammals. That should not be the case. Yeah? Women are heavier than the men. Therefore, if you are overweight, you are not healthy, as you know. Mhm. It has many consequences, not least with childbirth, but of course all the other related conditions, which relate to your heart and of course blood pressure and so on. It has real consequences. We need to highlight this as being a public health alert. This is no shaming. This is a concern because it's having a detrimental impact on the communities, both in Britain, the Caribbean, and the Americas, most certainly. And I've noticed in certain parts of Africa, it is quite so. And I note in certain parts of West Africa, that is definitely so. It is a public health alert. So here in the Motivator Show, I say again, we care. And we're not shy to highlight what is and should be a genuine concern. Another concern is the prevalence and expansion of diabetes and high blood pressure. Mhm. Again, preventable. The overconsumption of sugary foods, is having a detrimental impact on our community, and therefore the quality of our lives has been adversely affected. High blood pressure, hypertension, another condition, primarily related to our lifestyle. Lack of exercise, overconsumption of foods, inappropriate food, or food laced with chemicals that have a detrimental impact on our general health. I highlight it because I see it every day. After this podcast, when I go out about my business in London, I see it on every corner. I refuse to ignore it. I say again, I refuse to ignore it and pretend it's not happening. It is happening. I care. We care. Therefore, we will highlight it. So what I'm heartened by is the numbers of you who've heard these messages and are responding. But this message doesn't simply come from me. Listen to the experts. Listen to the public health director for London, who just happens to be a Jamaican man. It is true, okay? But listen to his words. He is the professional of me. He's the professional. Listen to his words and his simple lifestyle messages. I say they're simple because if we could apply them all, it would be great, wouldn't it? But the way in which it is delivered, his phraseology, you understand the moment. Yeah. If we could listen and act upon his advice, we will be able to transform our lives, the quality of our lives. So listen to Professor Kevin Fenton. Fenton says, I'm a public health director. Here are 5 things you can do to improve your health. 1. Mindful and balanced eating. Nourish wisely. Eat whole, balanced meals with awareness to support energy and well-being. 2. Get outside. Be with nature. Time outside reduces stress, improves mood, and strengthens your connection to the world. 3. Stay curious, stay engaged, explore new interests, keep your mind sharp, build social contacts, and boost your happiness. 4. Get active, move it or lose it. Move daily, lift weight, and do cardio. Exercise, improve physical, mental, mood, and energy. 5. Prioritize rest and sleep. Disconnect. Rest. Quality sleep supports mental clarity, emotional balance, and overall health. And there you've got it. There it is. Straightforward messages from the professor. Okay. And if we can incorporate his words as part of our consciousness, part of our everyday action, okay, we could transform the quality of our lives, our families' lives, our networks' lives, our civilization's lives. And in doing so, we raise the quality and enjoyment of life generally. We have got to take action. We must take responsibility. I urge you to do so. The professor has spoken. So, what I'm heartened by is the number of you who've heard the messages, understood their fundamental nature, how personal they are to you, to your family, and have understood that if we respond to these messages, we can transform the quality of our lives and take control of our health and well-being. It is vital, therefore, and I urge you to think about the food you're eating, but absolutely it's important to exercise. So what I'm heartened by, the number of you who heard these messages, and have understood if we work together, we can improve our health together. And if you're unsure, ask questions. And in doing so, you become a great human being. I'm assuring you, you become a great human being. I'm going to play you an example of a group of people who've come together in common aim and common purpose, who've pooled their resources, have understood if they work together, they could transform their health together. Just like as we're going to have in a few moments, we're going to highlight the excellence of many African and Black women here in Britain and around the world. Yeah, but in this particular instance, here you can transform your health. Come together in common aim and common purpose. Observe these people who are exercising together. It's only a few minutes, but these are good lessons for us all to take on board. I'm assuring you. Here we go. That's right. Just 2 minutes of exercise. There we go. That's right. Just 2 minutes. That's what we need to do. That's it. Bend your knees. Get up and bend your knees. That's right. Get up and bend your knees just for a few moments. That's right. Perfect. There you are. I can feel you. That's right. Oh, I can feel my knees. Oh, it cracked. There you go. Ooh. Notice they're big and they're small. They're wide and they're thin. Oh, yes. British. There you go. Wonderful. Exercise together is far more entertaining, I can tell you. That's right. Put your arms up. That's right. Come on now. You're not still sitting down, I hope. Come on. Get up. Get up. Only for a minute. There you are. Let's do this together. Let's do this together. We're saving our lives together. Extending our lives together. Yeah, that's right. Oh, he's sweating, huh? That's right. It's only a few minutes. There you go. You're absolutely right. Oh, that's it. Put your hands up. That's right. There you go. Oh, they've got their children there as well. You notice? That's right. Teach their children from their young. Take those habits into adulthood. That's right. That's right. Beautiful. Well done. Well done. There you go. That's right. It's only a few minutes. Makes all the difference. That's right. Just bend your knees just for a few minutes. Woo. There we go. Oh, let's do this one now. There we go. Ooh, there you are. That's it. That's right. Ooh, there you go. Now you should be feeling vigorous now. There you are. You got your blood flowing through your veins. There you are. There you go. There you are. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to stop there. I know. I know. Yep. We care here to spend a few minutes on these lifestyle messages because they are mission critical. We're not going to ignore what we could see with our own eyes, that there are illnesses weighing down the communities out there, weighing us down. Therefore, we must fight back. Yeah, we must be determined. And if you're feeling weak, hold the hands of others who share the same view. And together, you will transform your health and well being. It is vitally important that you do so. But look, if you're in South London, okay, you never know. You can even meet those who of the Countdown organization who I promote. Why do I promote it? Well, they're local. They are a demonstration of what is possible. Their numbers continue to grow. They've even branched off now and are now in other places, but their numbers continue to grow because they're inspired. They've understood they can take control of our health and well-being. We don't have to depend upon others to effectively food speed us, you know. We can actually exercise, think carefully about our food, have, promote good mental health, and of course, uphold, enhance spiritual health. Yeah? There you are. That is what we need to do. And together, we can transform the world. Okay. Look, if you're in South London, you've got a few minutes, why not join them? You know, be a part of that wonderful community that's growing. It's really impacting on a community that in the past wasn't so good at exercising, but that is truly changing. Let me put it on the screen. There you are. So they're called Countdown Health and Wellbeing. They meet every Monday and Wednesday from 6:30 to 8 p.m. They meet at 12 Tatum Street. That's Wharf in London, and the postcode is SE17 1T for T for Togo, N for Nigeria. There you are. Okay, join them. Just if you want to come once a month at least, it will make all the difference. Their email address is countdown0405 at gmail.com, or you can phone if you're in the UK, it's 079603803 I commend the work of Countdown to you all, because they've demonstrated resilience and ability, not only, forgive me, not only just resilience, tap absolute commitment to the cause. I commend every one of them, and their numbers continue to grow, taking on an issue within the community that is shied away, but they're taking it head on, and increasing numbers are now exercising for health. Yeah? Your health, of course, is your highest wealth. Okay. There you are. There you are. There you are. And thank you for supporting these initiatives. Thank you for supporting these initiatives. What is now important is now we begin to turn our attention to the issue of the day, okay? And that's, of course, the issue of women. But before that, I do want to just raise one other issue, which is particularly pertinent to here in Britain, okay? And I want to give light, of course, to the Windrush scandal. The Windrush scandal is a scandal created by the governments of the day. Mhm. This is where Parliament stripped away the legal status of particularly people from the Caribbean and Africa who came to Britain, particularly during the 50s, 60s, and early 70s, stripped away their right to reside in Britain. Mhm. Effectively, that's what happened. Okay? And as a result, there are tens of thousands of people who are living on the fringe of society. Okay? And they dare not put their heads above the parapet for fear of being deported, but they have every right to be in Britain. Mhm. what I want to give light to, of course, to the campaign, and let me put it on the screen first of all. We put this one on the screen. If you are affected by the Windrush scandal, I urge you to seek out help. Okay? The Windrush Legal Advice Clinic, they were here last year. And in fact, I haven't got them back yet, but I'll get them back in the studio. They're based at 58 Bank Street in the West Midlands. Their email address is info at Windrush Legal Advice Clinic.com. Windrush Legal Advice Clinic.com. You see it on the screen. Telephone number 01902 382 542. These are important public announcements because there are still far too many people who are yet to come forward and obtain the legal advice and support that they justly deserve. Okay. But of course, there is in parallel to this a parallel initiative to secure the rights of these people by virtue of an updated parliamentary act. Let me put it on this screen. You recall I had in the studio Anthony Brown, who was himself a Windrush pioneer, indeed a Windrush victim. Okay? He's calling for, and indeed we are calling for, a Windrush Act, because actions speak louder than words. The time for action is now. Translate our words into action. Contact WD Legal, their website address. It's WD Legal. That's it, as it sounds. .co.uk. WDlegal.co.uk to join the campaign to secure the Windrush Act. And together we will make the difference. Okay? You could put in hashtag Windrush Act now. Anthony Brown remains totally committed to this cause. In fact, I need to get him back in the studio to provide update the progress made to date. I know he's had many meetings with ministers and others and met the previous Home Secretary and others. Okay. I know progress is definitely being made. I would commend him and the MPs who are collaborating with him in order that the Windrush Act will come to pass so that we enshrine in law the rights of those whose rights were taken away by Parliament. So therefore, Parliament should make the correction. Absolutely. Well done, Anthony. We'll speak soon. We'll speak soon. All righty. I think it's now that time. I think it's now to, forgive me. There's one other announcement I should make. And lastly, before we turn to the issue of the day, which will be within 5 minutes. Okay. But this issue relates to women. Some of you recall that earlier this year, I did a series of special episodes on a subject very rarely discussed amongst African peoples, either from Africa or the Caribbean, here in Britain. And that is a subject called FGM, female genital mutilation. Yeah. More than 250 million women are FGM survivors. That this procedure was done to them for reasons, well, we could discuss another time. But what it entails is the removal part of their genitalia. Yeah. Look, I know the propaganda suggests purity in some culture. That's what the propaganda tells you. But I say to you, and yes, it's not part of my tradition, you're right. But I say to you, a piece of propaganda that requires the removal part of both intimate parts of our body, just propaganda. It is just propaganda. The women I've spoken to have opened up to me, and they will not open up to others in their own community. The accounts being shared have been truly heart-wrenching. Truly heart-wrenching. I say again, it's an issue not being discussed enough. We should discuss it. We should discuss it. Mm-hmm. We should discuss it. So I want to point out that there's an organization established by the former mayor of Southwark, Councillor Naima Ali. She is the founder of Unshackled Duma. Unshackled Duma is a London-based, indeed Southwark-based organisation. Okay? Its purpose, and let me just recite it for you all again. Let me just take this down for you. Its purpose is, of course, that it empowers women and girls, particularly from Black, Asian, and minority so-called ethnic communities and Muslim communities. The organisation focuses on promoting self-empowerment and autonomy, advocacy, and a strong emphasis to combat female genital mutilation. It raised awareness about FGM's harmful effects, okay, and supports survivors and works towards eradicating the practice. Yeah, yeah. It is pretty heart-wrenching, I have to say. It's pretty heart-wrenching. But if you wish to reach out and speak directly to Councillor Naima Ali, there is the email address, unshackleduma, followed by number 2 at gmail.com. She is a remarkable human being. Oh, yeah, a remarkable human being. She herself is a FGM survivor. You know, it's women such as that which makes this particular episode of The Motivator Show particularly poignant. We men, well, I'm not going to say we do it often consciously. No, I'm not going to say that. We men need to acknowledge and appreciate the contributions that women make to our societies, their critical role in ensuring civilization is sustainable. We need to recognize their achievement and find from time to time applaud their achievements. So the Motivator Show will establish a podcast series, okay, of women, African women, Black women, if you like, okay, who are an example for others to follow. And what will happen in a few moments, that a woman who received public accolade, but I'm assuring you, is a remarkable human being. I've had the pleasure to speak with her on a few occasions now. My research into her profile suggests that, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, she's an example of the resilience, the strength of human beings. But this is a feminine woman, a woman of distinction. Mhm. A woman whose words we all need to listen to, whose advice and guidance we need to take on board and incorporate as part of our consciousness, our everyday activity. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because in unity between men and women is strength. In unity is strength. So let's see if we can get her in the studio now. And we want to get this interview underway because it's truly got to be enthralling. I tell you, I can't wait. Anyway, let's see if she's available. Oh, yes, let's bring her in, shall we? Let's bring her in. There we go. Oh, I think we have her in the studio. I believe she's ready for us. And she's smiling at us. Look at that smile. Hey, the sun isn't shining, but it's now shining on us. The sun is now shining. Oh, good morning to you, Sonia. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, your sound. I think you're muted. Let me try again. Aha, you're muted. There we go. There you go. There you go. You're muted at the moment. She's muted. Don't worry. And just so you all will understand, this episode of the Motivator Show will be re-edited, and references made will be added into a final version, okay, which will be available within 48 hours after this live show. Let's see if we can get her into.
Can you hear me now?
We can. Oh, beautiful voice, huh? Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Oh gosh.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. You are a ray of sunshine. Oh, gosh, look at that smile. Hey, yay. Oh, la, la. Okay. Oh, Martin, stop that. Oh, sorry about that. I'm sorry.
What a great way to start the day for me. Yes.
Wonderful. You know, look, I always say this, and particularly when it comes to women of African descent, there's a natural beauty that is not always actually acknowledged by us men. I'm going to acknowledge it. I'm unashamedly going to acknowledge it. There you are, natural beauty. And I say it is not just simply skin deep, it's in the spirit, When you're doing good, it shines through. The aura is around you. And that beauty is that you doing good. Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much.
Oh, can I just get us started? Because I know you. Can I ask you please to introduce yourself? Just say your name, the organization, okay? And I might ask you, because I'm going to ask you for the name organization, but I want to throw in a quick, an addition to that. You may, within one of those organizations you might wish to reference, indicate a successful activity which has really warmed your heart.
Okay, so my name's Sonia Brown, MBE. I'm the founder of the National Black Women's Network and also Sister Talk. As part of that, we've created some programs called, we're doing Across the Pond, where we interact with our American counterparts, leaders, female founders, trailblazers, really strong role models. We also have Evolve, which is now focusing on our sort of digital intelligence and AI angle. How do we use that for personal branding, your business brand as well, connected to your audience? Everything business focused. And then we obviously Sister Talk, which I love. So we have a number of groups in there. And so we even have a brother talk, but the brothers don't talk often.
Well,
yeah, we have brother talk. A lot of that's
normally
focused
shy.
around health. Yeah. So a lot of bit of that health and relationships. And what is our mission? Our mission is to educate, create more businesses, digital confidence, because now as leaders, the world is changing rapidly. And if you're not upskilling, you're going to be left behind. It's going to happen whether you like it or not. And the age group is about 40 plus for our membership.
Okay.
So they're going to have to work longer. They're not going to be retiring at the big 60. They're going to have to, some of them will work till they're 75. And what you'll keep up with the millennials and the Gen Zs. How do they keep up with them in this competitive marketplace? And also, one of the things that's becoming more and more obvious is our personal well-being, our health, seriously, because too many of us are burning out. And I think with the lockdown, a lot of women and men, but a lot of the women have not recovered. And so the stress levels are higher, mental health is going through the roof. And then, dare I say it, the menopause.
Right.
So the menopause is here. Yeah, because Black women, and that's one thing I've learned this year. Emma Lady, one of my members, got in touch with me, and she wanted to do something around menopause. And I'd said, well, I'd wanted to do this from 2019. So it just seemed really timely. But amazing learning, especially the difference between Black women and white women. The fact that there's no studies, the big misdiagnosis, also the fact that we start earlier, it lasts 10 years longer than our white counterparts. They don't get the HRT treatment, and there's a mistrust. But that's what I've learned this year. And then what people forget, not only does it affect the woman, we now have the menopause because it impacts their relationships with it. But also, if you're running a business, if you're at work, how you relate with your family. I've said to my mum, why didn't you tell me about menopause? And she went, my mum's Jamaican. And she'll go, what menua? That's like, okay. And then I said it to my Polish friend, and she said, I just thought my mum was miserable. And she goes, it was only when I got older I realised it was the menopause. But they're of a generation, they never discussed it. They just got on with it. So for many of us, it does have an impact on your work, your relationships, and your business. So that's really a big driver for 2026 and beyond.
Fascinating, fascinating. Can I just ask you a little more on menopause?
Oh,
It
go.
is
Come on,
interesting.
menopause advocate. Come on, menopause advocate.
Well, honestly, it's
Yeah.
you're right. For me, also, this year it became a subject of real discussion. I typically talked about obesity, diabetes, and
Hmm.
hypertension, high blood pressure.
Yeah.
Okay, but the impact of menopause on women, particularly, but most certainly men, but most certainly women, is the degree and the extent I was unaware until, gosh, can you imagine this year and the dramatic impact it has on a woman's overall feeling about themselves and
Mm, mm.
their emotions and the impact it has on their general health, which it might include putting on weight as well, or the change in they sweat.
The
There's so
hormones.
much
Yeah.
involved here. Yeah,
Yeah. Mm.
so much involved.
But also that
And
lack of intimacy. People don't talk about that.
okay.
The lack of
Hmm.
intimacy. So the woman will probably, like the husband's feeling amorous. So she's like, not tonight,
Yes.
baby, because I'm going
Yeah,
through this.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And obviously that will have a long-term effect on the relationship, especially if she's not
Yes. Yes.
handling the
Yes.
perimenopause well, let alone when she
Right.
gets into the menopause, then she gets to the postmenopause. So
Right.
a lot of us, we've just got the language now, so we know what's happening. But now we have to get the right information, change the way we eat, the diets.
Hmm.
They need to come
Hmm.
off those processed foods and
Aha.
eat.
Tell them, Sonia. Tell them. Tell me more. Why should I get
Learn
up the
to cook,
processed
woman.
foods?
Learn to cook
Huh?
from scratch.
Yes.
Um,
Uh-huh.
the
Uh-huh.
processed food, that's a whole industry that keeps us with
Yes.
diabetes, high blood pressure, all the stuff
Yes.
that's not good for us. And
Uh-huh.
even with the menopause, what I
Hmm.
was learning as well, or discovering, was the impact of, oh God, what's his name? Mark Martin. He urban teacher. So
Okay.
Mark has
Uh-huh.
done a study, I think it's with Lucian, and they
Hmm.
found out that most black girls have these really heavy periods to the
Yes.
point where it affects them if they can go to work. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, you don't think about that. So imagine if you have the periods, your menopause, then the fibroids,
Yes.
sickle
Uh-huh.
cell.
Yes.
Come on now. Come on now.
Okay.
Black women, you're really good at putting it together.
Mhm.
Girls, you know,
In, o-
it's a lot.
in other so in other words, what you're saying is that we need to discuss these matters so
Yeah,
that the
definitely.
public health officials and
Yeah.
indeed the local NHS can prioritise these conditions as part of their health plan for that location. I'm familiar
Mm,
with the borough of Lewisham, of
yeah.
course, adjacent to my borough of Lambeth and Southwark, of course.
Mm.
We're all part of the same health network. So you are right. We need to campaign to ensure that the NHS prioritizes these conditions because of their detrimental impact on what is a significant proportion of our population.
And do the
Thank you, thank you.
research. I think do
Hmm.
the research with black people. You've the blacks,
Yes.
and then you've got the South Asians who, again,
Hmm.
different. The whole intergenerational and cultural aspects. So you
Yes.
can't. Everyone keeps quoting the Swan report. Well, how many black people were part of that report? So you're basing my treatment based on
Hmm.
misdiagnosis. It's
Right.
ridiculous, and we need to, as leaders, start working together to champion. Because the key now is, if we're going to live longer,
Hmm.
can the National Health Service support our needs? So
Oh.
there's a part that you have to think about. Well, yeah, we're living longer because of technology, etc.
Hmm. Hmm.
But if you go to your local hospital or your GP, it's a different
Yes.
story. Thank you,
Totally.
Chat GDP. So people need to get on Chat GDP and get a diagnosis from
Okay.
Chat GDP.
Sorry, what is that? Sorry,
Chat GDP.
is that a
So
friend of you? Yeah, what is that? Yeah. Mhm.
AI. You're not on Chat
Oh,
GDP. Oh,
okay.
love it. So
Okay.
basically, you've got Google, ChatGPT, Elon Musk has got X,
Mm-hmm.
what is it? Copilot from
Copilot,
Microsoft.
yes.
So
Yes.
basically, it's just like an online encyclopedia. And
Okay.
so
Yes. Uh-huh.
um, educators are worried because
Yes.
the new generation just cut and paste. And I have to remind them that we are the generation who had a library card. So we're used
Indeed.
to go into the librrite when we had
That's
to do our
right.
dissertations and everything.
That's right.
And I even said to myself, I'm going to go and get a library card just to have it. Just a driving license, I want a library card
Yes.
again. And
Yes.
yeah, so ChatGPT is excellent. Planning, researching, and just listening to a bit of the geek in me.
Mhm.
I listen to all the CEOs and what they are forward thinking for the future. So
Mhm.
we're at this point, but they're kind of like 10 years ahead, 10 years
Head.
ahead, 10
That's
years ahead.
right.
So we did a webinar this week, digital assets, around digital assets. So if the government wants us to digital IDs,
Ah,
right,
yes. That's
we need to understand what the impact, because there's going to be
absolutely.
malicious scammers. What
Yes.
about the elderly people? What are the people
Hmm.
who live in rural areas where the broadband isn't that good? It isn't that safe?
Right.
How are they going to teach these people how to use it? So you've got your Bitcoin and the impact that Bitcoin will have. Oh, because then you've got the Bitcoin, then you've got your crypto wallet. So then there won't be a need for traditional banks, because what they'll
Okay.
say is drop it in my wallet. No
Right.
30
And,
days to wait.
and just to
And
clarify, then, I was
go
going
on.
to say that. So, GPT, is that
Chat
right?
GDP. Yeah.
Is that right? It's really a machine in which you can ask questions and it will
Yeah.
generate responses,
Platform. Yeah.
answers for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Think of Terminator. Do you remember? Did you watch Terminator?
oh,
Skynet?
most certainly did. Yes, yes.
Well,
Oh,
it's Skynet.
oh my God. Oh, I see. I mean, that
Yeah,
is
it's Skynet.
that TP. That's what it is it? Oh
Yeah,
no,
it's Skynet. And it's really,
no. Then
yeah,
why
it's
would you
really
want that
funny.
then, Sonia?
Because when they interview the CEOs, it's really, because my friends always laugh at me about
Hmm.
ChatGPT. So they said, "Do you have a name for ChatGPT?" And they all go, "Yeah." And I go, "Do you say please and thank you?" And they say, "Well, if you've watched Terminator, they will
Uh-huh.
remember we used to say yes and no."
Indeed.
And then they said, "Do you argue with ChatGPT?" And they all said yes. And I said to my journalist friend, "I feel sane now, because it used to be called Tim after a boss
Uh-huh.
I hated.
Oh,
So,
oh dear.
so I used to argue with ChatGPT. What kind of response is this? I want this. And because we've got that brain power, we've done research. And then,
Yes.
so now I've decided to call him Buju.
Butcher. Oh, butcher. Oh, why
Yeah,
not? Huh? Butcher.
because
Yes.
of the Hurricane Melissa
Okay.
and how he's
Okay.
held the government to task for
Mm-hmm.
the theft of all of the
Yeah.
um,
Absolutely right.
containers and things like that. It's a disgrace.
Yes.
So we need to
It
do
is a
better.
disgrace. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so at the moment, it's now called Buju. And
Butcher.
yeah,
Okay.
Buju.
So, in other words, you're recommending, and maybe this is a separate episode
You know,
where we look at Chat GPT and look at
yeah,
its advantage, how to use it, and
yeah,
why we should incorporate it as part of our general lifestyle at the moment.
yeah.
Because
I mean,
it's I must say, I've got a subscription. I use it every day. It's just a
yeah.
useful reference point. It does. You've got to be careful with some of the answers, mind you. So I have
Yeah,
to
but you still got to
interrogate it very
do
carefully.
research.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
say
You've got to.
you've got to be lazy if you just depend on
Mm,
ChatGPT. You've
that's
still got
right.
to do the
Yes.
research.
Yes.
But like someone like my mother, it's good
Hmm.
for her. 'Cause,
Yeah.
oh, high blood pressure. Yeah, all right.
That's right.
So just go on
Understand it.
ChatGPT. So I want to teach her to do ChatGPT, then to do
Right.
recipes, all sorts
Hmm.
of exercise programs. So you
Hmm.
don't just use it for business. You can. It's a
Yes.
lifestyle model as well.
Lifestyle.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sonia. And that was a slight segue elsewhere, mind you, but that was very useful because
Yeah.
what we've done is to open people's eyes to the
Mm.
potential of that technology, and it's readily accessible. It is
Yeah, I
readily
mean, even if
accessible.
you're running a business, Martin, if you're running
Mm-hmm.
a business and you need to look at, well, what's my competition doing? What are the
Mm-hmm.
trends in
That's
this
right.
area?
Mm-hmm.
What do I need
Mm-hmm.
to be forward thinking? Because the way customers are purchasing now is very
Mm-hmm.
different to when you started your business. So,
Indeed.
are you
Yes.
up to date? Are you still relevant? Are you
Yes.
providing that solution for your target audience? Because you have to be agile, and that's the bit.
Yes.
That's your competitive edge. Because the big companies, There's no innovation or creativity in the big companies.
No,
So that's why they
no,
buy the smaller companies, because that's
that's
where all
right.
the innovation is, because they're not bogged down
Correct.
with meetings and agendas.
Correct.
They just get
That's
on with
right.
it, the talent.
Yes.
So if you look at places, people like Tesla,
Hmm.
Facebook and everything, they just buy companies.
Yes, the small companies.
Yeah.
Well,
And that
uh,
saves them the R&D costs.
I'm going to come back to all this because it's interesting listening to you speak, and you're so animated about it. So you absolutely are into it. There's no doubt about that. But would it be fair to say, though, Sonia, that the reason it's essential for you to promote women's interest is
Mm.
that you have evidence of structural inequalities, for example, in education, healthcare, politics,
Politics, yeah.
representation. Is that why you particularly focus on women's interest? Over to you.
I think for me, when I
Hmm.
was growing up, I didn't have any role models. So
Okay.
I was obviously very different. And when you try
Hmm.
to fit in, it's very
Hmm.
uncomfortable.
Hmm.
So do you remember Baroness Howells?
I do
Um,
indeed. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
so
I do.
Baroness Howells came, I was working at this company and Baroness Howells came in, and the
Mhm.
way it was like the second coming of Christ when she came. And I remember saying to her, "Oh, would you mind meeting me, come to my house for dinner and everything, and just have a talk?" And she came,
Mhm.
and she said to me, "Design your perfect job."
Ooh.
So, you know me, it's a business
Yes.
plan. And she said, "It's a network." And I thought, well, that's computers. And then she goes, "No." And luckily, I was working in a very large company. So we
Mhm.
had 25 VPs, and I actually got on with the VPs. So each different department, because you're going to be the head of sales, the head of marketing, the head of HR, the head of this. So when I went to interview them for to develop the network,
Mhm.
what he said to me, well, why black women? They all said, well, why
Mhm.
black women? What's different about
Mhm.
black women? And we work harder, we do this, and the things, the stereotypes that
Yeah.
parents are giving you have to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
110% better than them. And
Mhm. Mhm.
so then what he said to me then, he said, "Sonia, do the business case. What is the
Mm.
business case for working with black women?" So all of us have to
Okay.
say, well, what is the value
Oh, fine.
of working with black
Yes.
women? What's our
Indeed.
spending capacity? So you look at the
Yes.
hair industry, the beauty
Yes.
industry,
Yes.
clothing, designers. I mean, look at
Yes.
Adebayo Jones. I met him,
Yes. Yes.
beautiful
Yeah.
designer. Look at
Yes.
this. What did I say to someone? We were talking about Netflix,
Mhm.
and I said, when I watch a program, I say, right. So who's the project manager?
Mhm.
All right, let's do Beyonce's Carter, the Homecoming one. I love that one.
Okay.
So
All right.
you've got to get the set designs. You've got to come up with the concept. You're going to have the catering, the accommodation, the hotels,
Mhm.
the hairdressers, the designers,
Mhm. Mhm.
um, all those things. And it's got to be, me and my Excel spreadsheet. so,
Yes. Uh-huh.
so
Uh-huh.
basically, just having that concept, and that's how we need to think when we run businesses. And what is the
Mhm.
return on investment? So a lot
Indeed.
of the
Yes.
times, am I raising awareness? Is it about profit? What is the motivator? And you have to remember, what is my why? So my why was,
Mhm. Mhm.
I actually quite like this space, very
Right.
different.
Okay.
And then when I then got into the political side of it, then you
Yes.
see the disparities. But the challenge is now, I think we've gone backwards. And I think
Oh.
with
Okay.
DEI, the fact that Trump and Elon
Oh,
Musk
oh, forgive me.
weaponized
Just for the benefit of the audience, these acronyms.
diversity,
Yeah.
equity, and inclusion. So,
Mm-hmm.
diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI. So, what
Mm-hmm.
they have done is weaponized it, because they've said it's unfair and they've stopped all the DEI programs, etc. But what was quite sad about that was how quickly these organisations dropped DEI.
I've noticed. Yep, I
Yeah, they
noticed.
dropped it like a hot brick. And a lot of it,
Mm-hmm.
they said, because Trump said if they don't drop it, he's not going to give them the contracts. So you think about all the small businesses that were in the supply chain, all the black businesses
Mm-hmm.
now,
Yes.
they
Mm-hmm.
how are they going to survive?
That's
And
right.
yeah, so for DEI, it's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What else was I going to say about that?
Well, what about in this country? Do you feel it's gone backward here in Britain as well? So
Come
we've
on, look
got
at our
the
leadership. What leadership have we got? There's no collective leadership, black leadership. We've got lots
okay.
of people working in silos, but we're
Hmm.
not cohesive. We're not like the Muslim community, the Sikh community.
Hmm.
You know, if there's a disaster, who speaks and represents us?
Hmm.
It's you know, knife crimes up. Um, you know, the social gap is widening.
Hmm.
Um, Transport, even things like affording to use London transport.
Hmm.
People, you know, people forget about the cost of transport. People
Yes,
forget. I mean,
that's
you know,
true.
for those who don't know, but I've obviously starting to go to the hospital a lot more.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
was there the other day, and I was sitting there thinking, so they want to close down this hospital, and
Oh,
it is
right. Your local
packed.
hospital.
Yeah,
Right,
it's
right,
absolutely packed. And I sat
right.
there, but the technology, because now I've never really had to be in the hospital
Okay.
like that before, but the
Yes. Hmm.
technology, and I was really impressed. And I said, well, once I get fully fit again, I'm going to volunteer and I'm going to go down and work with them around diversity. Yeah, I've definitely, because I
Well
used to all
done. Hmm.
moan about it because I only used A&E. But when
Yes.
they've been treating me for this um,
Hmm.
syndrome, oh my
Hmm.
God, they are amazing. And I'll tell you another hospital I was impressed with was Charing Cross.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
Wow.
Okay. Uh
Yeah.
huh.
I
Hmm.
mean, that is a hospital and a half. So I said, yeah, we have the black networks,
Right.
but the nurses are still not getting the promotions. The nurses are
Okay.
still not, they've got the networks, they're still not being treated in the way that they should be. I'm doing something around the Windrush nurses. Um,
Right. Uh-huh.
Very interesting.
Right.
It's funny because I had to do some interviews and they called me and they go, hello, is that you, Sonia? Then I had to be very close. Yes, it is me. And then we start talking about
We could do
their
a
ties to the nurses.
torchy voice. Go on.
And they are absolutely amazing. So that's
Yeah.
going to come out
Okay.
soon with the Windrush. But now it's got to be Windrush Legacy because Arthur has educated me about it as well.
Ah, Toy
Because he
Tony.
said it's
Yes.
the ship. It's the ship
Yes.
is Windrush. But there were other ships
Yes.
coming from Africa and
Absolutely.
Asia.
Yes.
And I just
Right.
thought, oh, wow. So even
Hmm.
I'm learning, I love it. So that's something
Hmm.
where we're going to do look at the nurses, keep the story
Hmm.
going, keep the legacy
Hmm.
going. We cannot
Hmm.
have people telling our stories,
Hmm.
our lived experiences, our lived experience. And we need to
Hmm.
start writing. Even says me who has to finish her book. But we all
Hmm.
need to have those stories so that our
I
next
agree.
generation
So
can
your
have that
feeling is
historical context. Go on.
So your feeling is that in terms of equalities,
Mm.
this country has regressed, it's gone backward.
Yeah, definitely.
It was certainly true for US. That much I'm sure.
Mm.
Sorry, Americans, that's definitely true. You've got your 47th president is an interesting personality to say the least. But we now have a new government here in Britain, and in fact, I can only suggest in passing, that the new
Mhm.
government and the most recent budget, where it was a family-focused budget, for particularly, can you imagine have a financial cap so you're limited to two children, effectively? Now, come on,
Look how that worked out for Japan
well, indeed, or indeed for China, indeed.
and China, yeah.
So clearly, the government has got to stimulate and encourage people to have babies. We need babies. Forgive me, we need families, and in turn, we need babies. There's no doubt about that. So investing in children to take nearly 500,000 children out of poverty,
Oh,
that was
please.
one of the
Come on now. If they can't
fundamental
even pay for
achievements
school
from
dinners,
this
no,
budget.
Martin,
Hmm?
look.
So,
If they can't even afford school dinners,
indeed,
I didn't even realize children paid for school dinners still,
indeed, yes, so many
especially in
do.
inner city areas.
Yeah.
My thing as well, it's not about taking them out of poverty, it's the mindset.
Mm.
Now, is it
Okay.
51% leave? Is it high school? And they
Mhm.
still have the reading ability of an 11-year-old.
Yes, that's
So
right.
what we
Yes,
have to think
average
about is,
adult.
yeah,
Mhm.
so that So my thing is, it's about what are we teaching these children? Because what do they say? When a child leaves primary school and is ready to go to work, there'll be 65% of jobs they will not be qualified for. Now, if you look at AI and how the world is changing, let's look at companies like Tesla, Microsoft. Those companies have bigger GDPs than most of these countries. They could buy out
That's true.
England, France, da, 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 da.
That's true.
So
That's true.
they're the rulers. They're the rulers. And now you've
Yeah.
got BRIC. Now this is going to be interesting. So that's
Mm.
the China, Russia, South Africa, Venezuela.
Yeah.
So they're coming up with their own currency and their own,
Mhm.
and that's going to be interesting because China has bought a lot of America's debt.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Trump, when he's ready to do his little thing, his little spin, yeah, he's not too mouthy when it comes to China.
Yeah, I don't want to go too far away
Yeah,
from.
good.
Oh, no, it's okay. It's okay because I can tell you've got a mind that is really big. My gosh, I did. So this
Right.
is really good. But no, it's interesting. I'm interested in the equalities issues,
Go on.
and why you're specifically focused on women. And I think you're saying is that there are um, uh, institutional and structural changes that need to be made to ensure that women have access to all the jobs which are available. Okay. Just tell me, because you've mentioned a number of organisations at the top of the interview. Which of those organisations specifically address the career path to women, for example?
It's really difficult because remember,
Mm-hmm,
most companies now have their own internal networks for Black
hmm.
women. So the
Yes.
diversity. You have the women's, the Black group, the LGBT.
Hmm.
You got the C group. Like NatWest have been very good at that.
Yes.
Barclays.
Yes.
I think that the issue for women is you've got to start from the basics. She is the head of the household, whether she's married or whether she's a single mother. She she is at the head of the house. So she needs to
Hmm.
be financially literate. She has
Hmm.
to also be able to set the standards for the
Hmm.
children coming up. And also, she has to be educated. And it doesn't mean book educated, she just needs to be smart.
Hmm.
So you see all these women who set up businesses, doesn't mean they went and had a degree or etc. Because look at the degrees now, young people, especially blacks, are coming out of uni and they still can't get a job, and they ended up
Hmm.
in Poundland, working in
Hmm.
Poundland, and now who would have thought having a career in McDonald's? That's what you used to do at school when you was at school to get some extra cash. Um, Unless you bought the franchise, that's different. But yeah, so what I was going to say, so the mother, so if you've got a
Educated
financial,
mother.
yeah,
Yes.
educated mum,
Mm, mm,
financially astute, and
yes.
then setting the ground rules in terms of making them understand education is important. So,
Hmm.
one of my things, and I don't mean to sound, I'm not upsetting everybody, but I always think, where's the bookshelf?
Aha. Hmm. Aha.
Because we had to read a book a week when we
Yes.
were growing up.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
my favourite place when I used to sort of get uptown more often, me and
Mm-hmm.
Brenda Maddis at the time when I used to meet her at
Mm-hmm.
BBC, and we used to go to like Borders and everything, and then we'd go there and we'd say,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, back in a minute, and then we'd spend
Again,
half an hour reading
just for the benefit of the audience, I know Borders was a book
a
chain,
bookshop. Yeah,
okay, formerly, I don't think they're in business anymore, but it
no,
formerly a
no,
big chain because so many books are now bought online,
yeah,
or
by
indeed
Amazon.
you can have these talking books or
Yeah,
digital books, or indeed books on my phone nowadays. So there you go. So it is
I know,
changed,
but
but
it's really
mhm,
weird
mhm.
because I used to love bookshops, but even more. So, and I remember in Peckham, I don't know if you remember in Peckham, there used to be that
Oh
black man
yes.
who had the bookshop. Yeah,
Yes,
loved
I
him.
remember. Yes, I remember.
And then and I used to love secondhand bookshops, just
Oh,
the
there you go.
smell of
Yeah.
the books. So,
Yes.
and I think the more you read, the more you
Yes.
travel,
Yes.
um, it's very educational for the woman. And a man
Yeah.
who is with an intelligent woman will always
Mm.
be empowered. He'll be a
Mhm.
better
Mm.
man for it. Because how long
Mhm.
are you going to be running around the streets? You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
Come on now. We
Agreed. I think we're. It's okay. I think we're
yeah.
on the same page. But I did want to just keep pursuing the equalities issue as to
Okay, go
whether
on.
or not the the reasons for it is you see those disparities. Okay, and what I'm really interested to do is really to understand is how to tackle some of these disparities. And though you mentioned business. Okay, which is great. Okay, and you mentioned IT, the IT sector, which is another. But the industries that women are typically involved in, for example, teaching, for example, in the teaching
Mhm.
profession. Have you had much involvement in the teaching profession? Another
Um,
one, of course, is healthcare. Another one's healthcare. Yep, go ahead.
I just think the challenge is,
Hmm.
and I always say, even about local authorities, the amount of black people who work in local authorities. Now,
Yes.
they get access to so much information
Hmm.
that could
Yes.
help the community, but
Yes.
they don't share it in the community. Whereas the Asian community, they'll
Hmm.
be like, cousin Baba, there's a contract coming.
Ah, yeah. I
There's a
understand.
contract, and they will do it, and
Yes.
they will make sure it gets done.
Mhm.
We just, and you know, like
Well,
Black History Month.
I wouldn't paint us all the same way, but I understand what you're saying,
No,
though.
no, I never said all. Be clear.
No, that is
Be
true.
very
You said
clear.
we, but you said we.
I know, but what I'm saying is, we've been in a.
Okay.
How can you be in a job for 20 years and you're still in the same grade?
Yeah, indeed.
Do you know something? You must, or even if you are on the same grade, what's your outside? What's your side hustle?
Hmm.
You should have a side hustle. What happened to all the Saturday schools? And
Yep,
don't get me
indeed.
started on the churches. Don't get me stuck.
Okay.
Churches.
Hmm.
Why have you not got creches? Why have you not
Hmm.
got old people's homes? Why have we not got housing associations? Because back in the day, we had black
Yep,
housing
yep.
associations.
Umoja, yep, Umoja, yep,
Yeah.
amongst others,
So,
yep. Hmm.
so that they need to have that business element, and it's not just
Hmm.
about wealth creation for their family.
Okay.
It's about the community, because if you build the community, then you've got the enterprise, you've got affluence, you've got wealth. Now what you
Mhm.
have is gentrified areas that people can't afford to live in.
Okay.
Uh,
So, if I may, in that case, I did want to just make sure. So, I've got a good sense now in terms of the equalities issue. You feel it has
mm,
regressed, and what we need to do as a community is to be better. But can I also assume from your early responses that you consider empowering Black and or ethnically diverse women to strengthen our families? But how should men respond to a woman connected to one of your organizations responsible for their wives, their mothers, their sisters, their daughters? How should us men respond? When you see a woman linked to one of your organizations, she's going through all these revolutionary changes in her life. How should we respond as men? Mm.
just be kind, and
Okay.
always have
Ooh.
a plan.
Okay.
Have a plan.
Ah,
You know, you can't go through life aimlessly. If you've got a plan, you work together on that plan, and you won't be diverted or distracted or whatever, because you've got a plan. Simple as that. Work to
mhm.
the plan, be kind, be respectful, and just enjoy each other.
Okay. Oh, that's a straight and direct response. Wow. Let me pursue a little further. A little further. Okay. So, we talked about educated women. Okay. Now,
Mm,
the stats seem to suggest that when women, regardless of ethnicity, mind you, but women have higher degrees and so on, many qualifications, that they don't seem to settle well into a long-term committed relationships well. And it would appear that women in the main are the ones that walk away from marriages in the main. 80% or so of divorces are filed by women. Okay. Now,
mm.
that's the
Good.
issue for men, isn't it? That there's a difficulty. Well, they become so educated, then they seem to have difficulty maintaining the marriage or staying in the marriage.
But yeah,
What's caused that? Do you think? Yeah.
yeah, but you've got to look at the life cycle of a marriage,
Okay.
or a relationship. So let's
All
say you
right.
get together, you have some fun, then you might have children, then you've got to look at
Yes.
the dynamics of having children. Then
Mm,
we're now the first generation that now have to look after our parents. So we've got the
indeed.
nurturing to do, and that will have a strain. And then if you haven't got a strong
Mhm,
group
mm,
of friends or family
mm,
support, It's going to be
Mhm.
very difficult. And I
Right.
believe that more people are getting divorced in their 50s. And the problem they're having then to get a remortgage, to get a mortgage. So a lot of them
Mhm.
becoming homeless.
Mhm.
It's so the social dynamics are difficult. So they have to
Yeah.
plan properly if they're going to
Mhm.
separate. But again, it's your mental well-being. So do I
Okay.
stay in this because it looks good and I'm married, I've got a ring on my finger, or do I go to save
Okay.
my
So
well-being?
and you made a really interesting point. This is why this is so important for us to keep talking to women. Really important to understand that what's going on here. Because obviously, and maybe if I put this to you, so all the stats show that particularly for our children, boys and girls, but most certainly boys, um, they perform particularly poorly where the mother is alone with the child, with that child. Okay, and so the child underperforms in education, tends to have more health conditions, both physical and most certainly mental health, become least likely to be economically viable. In other words, get a good job and with growth potential. That single women bringing up, particularly boy, but there's only girl, but particularly boy, on the whole, is not good for our community. Which is why the question is put to you: how should men respond to a woman who's connected to one of your organization, responsible to empower their wives, their mothers, their sisters, and daughters? Because typically, when the word empowered means, it means separate from the men. And that's a peculiar association which appears to be pertinent to the Black or African heritage communities. How would you respond to that observation? Because I'm only citing both the stats and some of the observation I'm making.
Mm.
I want to empower women, but I want to make sure we men are able to have good wives for the whole of our lives, not just simply some of our lives. How do you respond?
You've got to want to have a good marriage. You know, there's no point saying
Yes,
putting it to the
yes,
woman.
no.
If she's
Mhm.
working on herself, why is he not working on himself? And
How do you
at
know
the
he's
end of
not
the
working
day, remember,
himself?
there's
Hold on. But it's important. Again, I want to be really clear that it's on that the stats are showing that a child who is in that environment where the only one parent is prominent, okay, it underperforms. And I said, and when we talk about empowerment, we're talking about empowerment being separate from a man. So those two combinations for our community, and this could be part of this regression you're citing, is weakened by that. And so you are a dynamic woman, okay? And I did the research. And you are you're quite remarkable in so many ways. You know? So I can ask these questions of you directly. Ask you this question directly because it does seem that there's a correlation between empowerment, education, and indeed then the follow-on marriage and the the last of those marriage, and whether or not therefore the impact of the breakup of those marriages have a negative impact or not on our communities. There's much in there. um, Maybe we could just pick out some for me. What's your observation? The women you come in contact with, are they, for example, are they in the main married women in committed relationships in the main?
um, I don't know. I mean, it seems to be a balance. I would say there's a balance.
Okay, right.
Yeah, because obviously, yeah, there's a balance. I would say there's a balance.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
and I think that um, when you were saying that, it was something I've been doing because we're going to do this whole trauma because I'm doing some work with
Oh,
Noble Manhattan. Now,
uh-huh, uh-huh.
trauma never goes away.
No,
And
no.
so certain things that trigger you come from your
Mhm.
childhood. So we're doing some stuff
Yes.
around trauma. So I've recently learned about narcissists.
Mhm,
So if you're in a relationship with a narcissist, it could oftentimes is borderline psychopath.
mhm.
Remember, they've got that down to a T, and you're with that person. It's not because they're in love with you or they want to make a life with you. They want you to look after them. So as long as their needs are covered, then it's fine. So if you're in a relationship like that and you don't understand our parents didn't tell us about, no, don't go out with that one because he's a narcissist. Don't go out with that one because he's a psychopath.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and as you rightly
Okay.
say, we need to examine their family, the background,
Yes.
because
Yes.
that is important. And also, I think that, look, if you want your relationship to work, you'll make it work. You don't need stats. You
Yes.
don't need anything. You'll make it work. And I just think that
Mm-hmm.
we overcomplicate things.
Okay.
And the
Okay.
reality is that if I had a child, and everyone says, Sonny, why have you got children? And I always say, oh, I'm far too selfish. But I'd be the mother who they'd come in and go, Mum, I got an A. And I'd go, oh, couldn't you get the A plus? You know, and then,
Oh
and
gosh.
then and when they're older, they'll say, nothing was ever good enough for her. She was nothing. I tried my best. So I said, it's best I'm just a godmother. It's just best I'm a godmother.
I hear you, Mum. I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah. So, those expectations that you put on
Mhm.
yourself. And I think,
Yes.
a lot of the women, I
Mhm.
am inspired by them because they
Yes.
teach me every day. What a blessing that every day you wake up, you learn something new
Okay. Okay.
that empowers you. But you have to be open to learning.
Okay.
And so, not this is the way I do it, and I'm always going to be fixed, and this is the way. Well, stay fixed. You
Mhm.
won't grow.
Mhm.
The reality is, every day is a learning opportunity, whether it's for your
Okay.
relationships, your career, your
Yes.
marriage, your
Yes.
business. Every day is an opportunity to learn something. And, one of the things, anyway, it would be
Forgive me, forgive me, Sonia. Can I just throw another question as a sideball for you, just to get it right? So, because you are an established woman who other women look up to, okay? You
I
are an
really dislike that.
influencer.
I dislike that.
You are an influencer, okay? So that's why I need to ask these questions of you, 'cause this is really good. So,
So,
young women that you encounter, that you want to empower, want to make sure
mhm,
they're well educated, they're
yeah.
motivated to get into business or get into good careers and so on. Are you recommending to women that they should do all of that and put off having children until they're in their 30s,
No, I
late
wouldn't.
30s?
No, I wouldn't say that to them.
What would your advice be to young women?
Just plan. Don't have an accident. Just plan.
Ah,
So if it's a
good.
planned child, that's fine, but don't have an accident. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Well said. Well said. I like that. Don't have an accident. It must have planning. In other words, it must be a deliberate action. In other
Yeah,
words, you've collaborated with the child's father and said, well,
mm,
this is what we want together, and our incomes combined will
yeah,
ensure we can. Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. Thank you for that response. That helps, and that's another marker for this podcast to help young women to realise that you can pursue education and careers, and also be married and have children. It is possible. You're not alone. You're not alone. But second question for you though, it's this marriage sustainability, and it's an interesting one because you're right that what tends to happen is that 10, 15 years, then after that it dissolves. It's particularly affecting people of African heritage, black marriages. Okay, it's the percentage slightly reduces where the husband and wife are very much in the church or the mosque,
yeah,
or
that's
of a
true.
very strong faith. That there's
Mm.
most certainly true, most certainly true. But what do you think might be going on there? Because you mentioned narcissism, and before, so I looked at your friend Chat GPT and asked, I did, and asked the
But
question,
you went to
what
speak to
percentage?
Buju? Did you go to speak to Buju?
Oh, the butcher. Yeah, oh god, I don't have a name for mine, but I like butcher. I might. You never know. I might give him butcher. You never know. I might. Look. Look. I like. I look. Anyway, let me look at that. I won't do that now because you can take me on another subject altogether. But I asked our AI friend. Okay, there's my
Mm-hmm.
computer. Yeah. I asked
Your
my AI
companion.
friend. There you are. There you are. And I asked the question: what percentage of the population have been diagnosed as being narcissists? And according to our friend here, it point 0.003 of 1%.
Wow.
A very small number of people ever diagnosed. It's not a usual condition. But I know that I hear. I'm not being pejorative here.
Then look
Women
at the
use the
domestic abuse
term
rates.
use the
Look at the
term
domestic.
narcissist, and I
Yeah, go
wonder.
on.
Gosh, it's and I look it up. It's a very small percentage. So what I accept the descriptor, but it's underlying what you mean is that men are being too
And women
controlling.
can be narcissists. Don't
Oh,
get me
oh,
wrong.
okay,
Yeah,
yep.
women can
I
be
might have got
narcissists.
onto that in a moment, but
Mm.
it being too controlling and not listening to your wife, or my case, or indeed your husband. Is that what you mean? You've got to
Controlling,
listen better to each
manipulative,
other.
coercive,
Aha.
um,
Okay.
gaslighting. I'm
Yes.
not an expert. This is just what
Yes.
I've picked
Yes.
up
Yes.
through the network.
Yes.
Um,
Observation.
yeah,
Observation. Yeah. Mhm.
the demeaning of the
Mm.
individual, in order to
Yes.
get there. The fact that you have is it the flying monkeys that so they do a
Mhm.
campaign to your family and friends. So
Yep.
they
Yep. Yep.
paint a very negative picture of you. Then they
Yes.
isolate you from your family, so you become
Hmm.
on your own. And
Mm.
you've got to look at the. I was listening to who was it? Cash something. Oh, it's just oh gosh, I can't remember his name now. Cash something
It's
or
okay.
other. But he was talking and
Hmm.
he said the problem with a lot of these men, they're educated in the barber shop.
Okay.
And I thought,
Um,
wow.
well, it's
Because so
again,
I
it's
don't
not
go in a
too
barber shop,
broad.
so I don't know what you men talk about.
It's okay. I suppose if it were that men were walking away from marriages and or
Mm,
indeed long term relationship, then I could hear you. But it does appear that we're not talking enough to women. That's why we'll do this episode to women. Just
mm,
really understand, get below the surface, as it were, to better understand what's happening in the minds of women. Because women are the ones who've experienced the greatest social change in the past century, the past 100 years.
mm,
75 years ago, women were entering the workforce en masse for the very
mm,
first time. Okay,
mm.
um, 50 years ago, the equalities legislation were put in place to ensure that women's rights were enshrined. Okay, and to ensure there can be no prejudice, bias against women in the workplace or in any part of society. Okay, so women' rights have been always protected by men to ensure that you can thrive. Okay, but particularly when it comes
Good,
to
good,
but when it
go
comes to
on.
our community, though, the question is for our communities, okay, is understanding this internal dynamics. And that's why my question is, how should men respond to women connected to one of your organization responsible for empowering, the term empowering their wives, mothers, sisters, and daughters? Because this empowerment, as I said earlier on, tends to mean being separated from men. It's unique to our community. You don't hear Asian women speaking like that. You definitely don't hear white women speaking that way. So it's particular to our community, separate from men. Mhm. And I've been trying to
But listen,
understand
now
this.
let me just say they might
Okay,
not talk to us about it,
okay, uh-huh,
but
hmm,
in the dynamic, so in the Asian community, listen, they've got their problems. The forced
oh
marriages,
yes,
honor killings,
absolutely,
they're getting
yep,
beaten there, and they can't go. They have to stay in that marriage. You know, you look at the number. How many is it? One woman a week is killed by their partner.
mhm.
And for black women, we tend to keep quiet, so we don't
Hold on,
want
just to
anyone.
be clear, that's another one of those stats. But when it comes to black families, it's one per month. In other words, as a proportion,
Mm,
there's greater harmony, or black men are less violent than any other ethnic group. Now, the stats are there. It's just that
okay,
most
I'm
people just don't
listening.
read them. If you go to the Office of National Statistics or to black what do you call it? I'll put it on the screen for the final edited version.
Mm,
But they got the American version, you've got the UK version of it, and it gives these really useful stats on what is actually happening as opposed to the propaganda. Okay,
mm,
because again, black men are the most involved men as fathers in their children's lives, despite all the pressures we experience, we are the most involved, you see. So it does mean, therefore, we need to speak to our women. And that's why I keep putting that question back to you. So to use the term empowering, is a substitute for separate from the men, or what does it really mean when you use the term empowering, Sonia?
Look, if I was talking about in a relationship, like you've got to have a plan. You've got to work
Yes.
towards the plan. You've got to have the resources to make that plan happen. And so you're
Yes.
working towards something. So, and this is what happens in households. If it's chaotic, that's what you know. That's the example you've been given. So, one of the things I'll always say, even though my parents separated in the end, to me that was great. That was the best thing my dad could have done, was to leave, because then it brought calmness and harmony in the house, so we could just get on with what we had to do. But what was interesting is they had a plan. My mum and dad had a plan, and then the uncles around us were running businesses. They had really good jobs, and everybody had something. And us growing up, we all had our little, we were going to school, but we still had little side jobs. And I don't know if they do it now. You know, the national insurance card, when it came, that you're like, remember?
You're giving away your age now, Sonia.
It don't matter.
Because I go back 40, 50 years.
I'm like fine wine. I'm like fine wine.
I'm assuring you are like fine wine. I'm assuring you that much. Go on, continue, sorry.
But I think, so if you don't see it, you can't dream it. And it takes an exceptional child to break out and break free. Yeah. So you've got that talent, and you've got to navigate. So I think even though children are going to school, what are they learning? What's the atmosphere? So when I was doing the trauma webinars, I didn't realize that social media was addictive.
Yes.
And so now what they're saying, the children, so this is with young children, and what they were saying, that they don't listen to the teachers, they don't listen to their parents, it's social media and their peers. And I was like, wow. But then when I did the research, we would done something with all these coaches who would do neuroscience and everything, and they were all talking, and I was thinking, you're not their friend, you're their parent. They need structure, they need discipline. And so when we were growing up, you had sports day, first, second, or third, and I want to be first, right?
Yes.
We had reading competitions, and I always remember English Miss Dance, as it Peter and Jane books, weren't they? The Ladybird books. So you just kept reading them; they never seemed to stop. But you'd have all the gold stars, and I would be always ahead, because I needed to be 5 stars ahead of everyone. Now everyone wins. What kind of weird is that? How can everyone win? You need to have that little drive and that passion to do more and be more. Do you know? So that was quite shocking. Yeah, I was like, okay, what do you mean you don't compete?
You're making an interesting observation in terms of the cultural change, social shift that's occurring in certain social classes within British society.
Hold on, can I just interject there? Can I just interject? African girls are doing incredibly well. Going to universities, coming out, they're working in the top companies, consulting companies. The African girls are doing well. And I would say some of the boys are doing well. But it's that, how did they grow up in terms of education? Because you have to have that ethos, that education ethos. And I think, so when we do diversity, etc., you've got to remember, when our parents came, there was no Equality, no Discrimination Act. There was nothing. Just to bust them on their head with the truncheon and throw them in the back of the Mariah and then disappear. You know, it was a very different environment.
Definitely,
but they still set up businesses. We don't see black shops on the high street anymore.
If I may, Sonia, and you're right, but I want to really make it clear, though, my observation is that the Race Relation Act that has been passed by Parliament have been passed because of the pressures that our parents' generation put on the politicians. Absolutely. They marched, they lobbied, they argued, and they won. And they
And they sat on,
secured
listen,
those
they
wage
sat
benefits.
on the
Mhm.
school committees, they sat
That's
on the
right.
health committees, they were in the unions,
Absolutely.
and they were
Yes. We
visible. Is
made
it
it
Gloria
happen.
Mills? Remember Gloria
That's right.
Mills and all of them?
Yes. Another
So,
one. Perfect. Yes. Yes.
so
Yes.
we could see that. So when I was doing my
Mhm.
network, I was seeing all these incredible women. And I'm like,
Yes.
I'm competitive. So it's like, well, you know what I mean? You've got to raise your game, girl. You got, I always say to people, stay in your lane, but up your game. Well, now it's stay in
Yes.
your lane and accelerate. So you've got to.
Yes. I agree.
The world is
Yeah.
moving so fast, and at the end of the day, um, AI, digital intelligence. The good thing about digital intelligence, we could get the information now. It's at our
Fantastic.
hands.
Can we answer that question, if I may, just answer that question? How is the National Black Women's Network preparing for AI readiness by improving their digital skills? What do you do? What is the practical steps that you do? What are the events and how can women get involved even? Please
Right, so
explain.
we have the webinars. If they join, it's all the W's,
Hmm.
NBWN, National Black Women's Network.org.
Hmm.
We're doing a lot of webinars, and we're getting the, what's the word? The specialists. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Right.
we got the specialists, the top people. So we're not playing
Hmm.
with this because we haven't got
Hmm.
time to muck about. It's
Hmm.
none of the days of, oh, it would be nice, maybe later on. Oh, no, we've got to do it now. So
Hmm.
there's an urgency. So we're doing a lot more
Yes.
events. We're going to be doing the membership again. So we've got 2 levels of membership. And again, we're going to do more coaching because I am very worried that we fall into these labels. And what we need to do is come up with a model that,
Yes.
and I hate using the word empower, but it's got to be dynamic, it's got to be powerful. When I walk into a room, I need to feel that I am someone. Stop walking in with your head down and, walking
Absolutely.
with strength, walking with dignity. You know,
Yes.
if I don't respect myself, who's going to respect me? And stop playing
Absolutely.
around with people who don't have got no ambition, no life skills or nothing. Leave them
That's
alone
right.
and
There
stop
you go.
gossiping. Stop it. Come on, get on with your life. And don't tell me
Go on,
about
Sonia.
EastEnders and all of that. You know more about EastEnders than you do about your own life. So stop it. Get on
Mhm,
with it.
mhm,
The time you're
mhm.
watching EastEnders, you should be talking to Buju. Come on, Buju, what do
I'm
I
gonna
need to do
tease
to
you
get my
now.
friend?
I'm gonna keep teasing you on that one. I'm gonna tease you about Butcher. You watch, yeah, you and Butcher. Watch you.
Huh?
And for those, and just for the wider audience, because
Yeah.
Sonia and I are speaking in Jamaican code. Okay, so Buju Banton is a Jamaican artist, yeah? And he have a certain style. He's very popular, And yes, I'm now starting to notice I'm bouncing now. I can hear his music in my head. So yes, but so I understand why Buju. Yes,
Yeah.
Buju the good thing. Don't worry. But I might go
It's
for
interesting.
Isaac, Gregory Isaac myself. But cool.
Yeah.
By the way, go on. Sorry,
Let me
Sonia.
interject. So, someone has said something about feminist empowerment has been an alien cancer for Black people in the UK and
Oh,
worldwide. Females over the world. Oh, no, that's
oh,
narcissist. Now,
yeah.
remember Bell Hooks? I don't know if people are familiar with Bell Hooks.
Explain Bell Hooks.
So,
I don't.
this is how I kind of deal with Bell Hooks. So, Bell Hooks said when it was the emancipation of women, the white
Mm-hmm.
women, remember, they were chattel at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
what they
right.
did, they'd have the Black women doing the marching, and
That's right.
they were at the
Mm-hmm.
front. So they were like the
Yep.
cattle. So they
Yep.
were still in the field again. And
Yep.
then once they got their freedom and their rights, they
Mhm.
weren't interested in the Black women anymore.
That's
So,
right.
and bell hooks, and it's worth our audience. If you haven't done any research on bell hooks, it's really good because you can see it playing out today. You do see it playing out
Mm-hmm.
today. Um,
Mm-hmm.
feminism.
Would you call
Listen,
yourself feminist? Would you call
no,
yourself feminist?
no, I'm a Black
Wow.
woman. No, I'm a Black woman trying to survive. I'm
Kosher.
just a
That's
Black woman
right.
trying to survive,
Yes.
trying to
Good.
be happy.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Listen, there's so many things that make you unhappy in a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, if you're not careful, you will go down.
Yeah.
And we all have our valleys. And, it's tough out there. And the
Yes.
thing is, what I found now is I've got a very good support structure around me now.
Right.
And it does make a difference. It really, really.
Okay.
The conversations we have, we know we talk about the news, and
Hmm.
even though we say we're not going to read the news, it's too depressing. But Donald Trump
Yes.
continues to entertain me each morning.
Hmm.
You're like,
Yeah. No. No. You're
what
right.
did he
Hmm.
say today? What's he done today? And then
Hmm.
the whole BRICS, that whole China, how
Yes.
they're
Yes.
working. Um,
Hmm.
Also,
Hmm.
look at, right. So we talked about diversity and inclusion in
Hmm.
America with ICE. Is it
Ah.
immigration? Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah.
All I know is ICE.
Yes.
Look at them doing all those raids. They've gone to
There.
schools. They've gone on the school bus, and
Mm.
you sit there and you think, and they say we have equality. They say that
Hey.
racism doesn't exist.
Hmm.
Over here, just look at border control. You know,
Yes.
I
Mm.
remember going in to get my hair done. So you've got the hairdressers, so you've got the black part, you've got the Asian bit, and then you've got all the nails down the end.
Hmm.
So I've come in, and there's all border control people in there. And the
Hmm. Hmm.
customers, listen, them young girls, they were going mad. And I was thinking
Yeah.
to myself, the disruption that causes and the
Yes.
fear, because it was really awful. But then I heard
Yes.
that they've been going to the chicken shops. Then they
Yes.
went to typical shops that where we are going to be working.
Hmm.
So you see, so when people say equality, etc., okay, then and then all of a sudden you're black when something doesn't go your way. You know,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
why we got gender pay gap, race pay gap. We've got disparities. It's
Okay.
still white and bright at the top.
I was going to probe you on those two stats because all the evidence suggests that there isn't actually a pay gap. It's simply different working patterns, which result in different pay. But
It's the
can I just,
roles. It's the roles. It's the
yeah,
roles because we're not in
that's
those
right.
roles. We're not in those
That's
positions.
right.
Yeah,
That's right. But then it's not men requiring women to be in particular roles, women making those choices for
true.
themselves.
But then you've got to
Can I,
remember, no,
if
Martin. Let me
okay,
just go back before we finish
okay,
there.
okay.
So remember, women tend to get pregnant at 30. But that's the time when your promotion levels there. Are they gonna come
Yeah,
back after they have a child?
okay.
Do they get the same
So,
role?
hold on. And that's another one of these crucial statements you've made. So your eggs are in their prime between whatever from 16 to what 26 or so. That's when the
Okay.
eggs are in their you can produce the
Mm,
best possible babies. But after that, then you enter a period in which the eggs are of a lower quality. Okay.
okay.
And if you are having babies post 35, then you are geriatric pregnancy. Okay. And you have to have all these medical intervention to have them.
Yeah.
So clearly, women should be having babies. You want to have healthy babies, okay? Younger, not at age 30, because at that age, most of your eggs have gone. Now, that's the tension, I suppose, which women and indeed men are having to grapple with. The biology says that between 16 and 20 and 26, let's say, is the prime time for women to have babies. Okay. But our society says, well, look, the pressure on women is that you need to get good education to get establish your careers, and then you think about having children. And that runs contrary to your biology. What should we
Well,
do
I
about
mean,
this
if
then?
you're
What should we do
saying that
about this? Mhm.
26, I would dread to be a mother at 26.
There you go. And therein
Because
lies
I
the
don't
other
think I
problem
had
we
any
now have.
sense. No, I don't think I
Right.
had any sense until I was 30. And
Wow.
I
There you
think
go.
you completely change at 30. And
Okay.
then I said, I think when you get to 30, there's a maturity. And
Okay.
because remember when you were younger, 30 was old. Oh God, they're old. Look at them old people, And then now you're
Yes, it is true. It is true. It is true.
yeah.
Um,
And
but
but I
but
loved my
Sonia,
30s.
but isn't that the tension then? You see, the biology says 16, let's say 26, are when your eggs are in your prime, and you can produce the best possible babies,
That's if you
boys and
want
girls,
them.
men and
That's if
women.
you
No,
want
no, no. Hold on,
them.
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. But if you want to have a child that is potentially got a lot of these conditions, okay, you have them older because the eggs are of a lesser quality.
Mm,
Now, so that's the dilemma. we pay the price is but you increase the risk of a child having a genetical or a long term condition because the egg the child is created in is of a lesser quality. So that's the tension. And now I'm not asking you to answer that question now, but I put it out there. That's the tension I see. And for African women, black women, we're having babies even later now than other groups. And this is linked to economics as well, because the tendency is for women to have babies alone, and they're the sole breadwinner, which is very tough. Particularly here in London, that's very, very tough, you know? So that's the tension we have. And maybe another time you and other women we get in the studio, we can have that dialogue. How do we we've got a square, but the slot is round, and therefore it doesn't quite fit. What do we need to do in order to find the perfect match? Because clearly our community is suffering because of this. But I believe women like yourself, with the intelligence and the vision that you possess, and indeed the reach and the influence you have, I believe the answers rest largely with yourselves in dialogue with us as men, because you are an example of a dynamic, forward-thinking woman who really cares. You don't describe yourself as a feminist. You want to make sure that women are indeed able to stand on their own feet, but clearly you see that in the context of working together with the other half of the human race. You know, so you're not in any way anti-men. What you are, you want to ensure that women have rights are upheld and are respected, and I completely support that. Completely support
Yeah.
that. Can I,
Go. Sorry.
okay. No, it's okay. Can I just before we close, we're almost closed. I just want to give a few women that we should recognise, and you might want to. For a few women you recognise, women, particularly here in the UK or Europe, black women that we should recognise. I want to recognise, for example, Claudia Jones. Yeah,
Oh
uh,
yeah. Yeah.
sometimes called the mother of Black Britain. She was born in Trinidad, and she sharpened up politics in Harlem, but built a foundation of the black community life here in Britain. Yeah? Now she engineered movements just like you, just like you. I've read your profile. Your profile is akin to Claudia Jones. I mentioned her. She's the founder, one of the co-founders of the Notting Hill Carnival, for example. It's a national event, yeah, which we all at some point have attended. Yeah, she was behind that. You know, she was part of the Black consciousness movement here in Britain in the 1950s and 60s. Powerful woman. She was a true Pan-Africanist. So there you are. Claudia Jones is one. Do you have a woman that you could cite, just mention before we leave? Just give it.
Well, I would go to. I mean, and this is just personally. I would say Ross
Uh-huh.
Howells, because if it wasn't
Okay.
for Ross, there would be no network. And
Wow.
I always say this. Diane
Mhm.
Abbott. So I went to a
Okay.
predominantly white
Hmm.
school. So when we did
Uh-huh.
sociology, Diane Abbott was one of my projects.
Oh,
Diane, Dawn Butler, um,
yes, yes.
'cause I used to say, Dawn, she used to always say to me, "Oh, we must meet up, we must meet up." And I'd say,
Mhm.
don't keep saying that because we never do it. And then
Yes. Uh-huh.
she did an interview with me, and it was fantastic. And
Right.
she created the first general strike in a school, primary school. And I said,
Oh, wow.
"That's dawn for
Brilliant.
you. That's dawn for you."
Uh-huh.
And then
Uh-huh.
we
Uh-huh.
become good friends. I really admire the intelligence. Who else is there?
Uh-huh. Yes.
Give Kanya King her due with the mobile. Now she's got the
There
House of
you
Mobile.
go. Yes.
Claudia Webb, when Claudia was
Yes.
at
Uh-huh.
LDA, Claudia was
Yes.
such a supporter of the network.
She
Who
was
was the other
indeed. Yes.
lady with Roz? The other, she was more with the Education and Union, fair skinned woman. I can't remember
Okay.
her name. Very
We'll
correct.
come back to us. Keep
But
going.
yeah,
Keep going. You're doing well. You've
yeah.
put them
So
on the
who
map
else is
now. You see.
there? Oh, Dorian. Dorian Wilson, Dr. Dorian
Oh,
Wilson.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
oh, don't play with Dorian. I'm down with Angela Herbert now. She's kind of getting me back into the groove as well. Who,
Yes, good,
uh,
good.
who else is there?
Ah, no, you said a few. That's good.
Yeah,
And just for the benefit of the audience, in the re-edited version, pictures of each of these women would appear, and a short
okay.
bio would appear as well. So thank you for that, Sonia. That's really good, because that will stimulate even further inquiries by women and men about the
Mm.
magnificence of our women. Magnificence of our women. Look, we're at a close now, but can I ask you, what is your first of all? Two questions. How can the audience contact or join the National Black Women's Network? How can they do that first of all?
Right, all the W's,
Okay,
nbwn.org. That's nbwn.org, National Black Women's Network, or just Google us and you can get contact information is there.
perfect, 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 perfect. And again, they'll be on the screen in the re-edited version. And of course, I'm listening to you keenly, and we're listening to each of your responses to our questions because you're a woman of wisdom, even though you don't consider yourself so. I'm telling you, I'm telling you, Sonia, you're a woman of wisdom. What will be your closing words to the audience, to the people? What's your closing words?
Believe in yourself.
Mm,
So if you're going to talk to your 8-year-old self,
mm,
what advice would you give her? And
mm.
then do it. But at the end of the
Wow.
day, believe in yourself. We're not meant to be the same. Find your unique gift and then use your passion to deliver on it. Don't think about where you are now. Think about where you want to be and the steps you have to take to get there. Everyone should have a dream. And then all you need to do is put a plan in place to make it happen. And I'll see you at www.nbwn.org.
Wonderful. Thank you very, very much.
Thank
That was
you.
powerful.
Thank you.
And I say again, you understate yourself. You continue to do so. So I'm going to do this for you. There we go. Yes, 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 yes. Absolutely, yes, yes, yes. Well said, well said, well said. Don't let it continue. Keep it up, yes? Keep it
All right. Thank you very much.
up. My pleasure. Thank you. Live long and prosper. And please write the book.
Oh, yeah.
We definitely want to see your book. We
Yeah.
we want to hear your words of wisdom. It's your wisdom that we all are waiting for. Thank you.
Brilliant.
And thank you
And
for
thank you.
caring. Thank you for caring.
Well, thank you for having a platform like this because it gives people a voice, an opportunity, and somebody out there, it's going to move them to do something different. And that's the most important thing. And they will be empowered.
Okay, that's what it means. That's what it means. Not mean separation. Thank you, Sonia.
Okay, then,
Good day
thank
to
you.
you. Good
All right.
day. Blessings, blessings. Oh. Well, there you go, people. There you go. Oh, that was very entertaining, huh? Very entertaining. That's why it's so important to listen keenly to our women. Listen keenly. And she has so much there. And gosh, we'll get even more out of her. Get her back. We'll get more out of her. But those fundamental questions that I put to her still remain, and I will put similar questions to other women of distinction in future episodes in this podcast series. But this podcast will be re-edited. Names mentioned, you see the images, bios, and other useful information will be attached. Once it's been re-edited with the intro vid, it will be a powerful video log. You'll find it a powerful experience. I'm assuring you. You see, when you're amongst such inspired persons, it's easy to produce inspired works. Okay, and Sonia Brown is absolutely Sonia Brown, MBE, I might add, is absolutely an inspired human being. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. But if in doubt, ask questions. And if you want to reach out to us, you've got our email address. We welcome all questions you might have. That is the Motivator Show. In fact, put it on the screen. There you go. The Motivator Show 501 at gmail.com. The Motivator Show at 501 at gmail.com. Look, if you're here for the very first time and you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out. It tells the YouTube algorithm the content is useful. You might leave a comment. Don't go away without leaving a comment, or at the very least, give us a thumbs up. We hope it's a thumbs up. We much appreciate it. Just allows us to continue to extend our coverage. And I'm sure you together we can transform the world. Okay, be assured anything is possible. Do not listen to propaganda that says you are powerless. If you work with others who share the same aims and same purpose, in unity is strength. In unity is strength. These are not idle words. These are words which have been magnified again and again and again, proven again and again and again. We can overcome religious differences. We can overcome gender differences. We can understand stature differences. All overcomeable where you're clear with your common aim and common purpose. Once established, those are your bedrock around which your union is possible. Praise be, praise be, praise be. So I'll say to you all, if in doubt, ask questions, not a problem. But be assured that we will continue to have our inspired guests who will add value to our understanding, to our lives, if you like, add value to it. Okay. And I'm assuring you, together we will all make the difference. So until the next time, I remain the motivator.